Send your answer to the following email address, chinese@cri.com.cn. You can also log on to www.crienglish.com, click Learn Chinese to know more about the program and to access to a lot more Chinese learning materials.
You're listening to CRI News Plus Radio. Email us at newsplus@cri.com.cn or get in touch with us the old-fashioned way. Pick up a pen and write to us. Our address is English Service, China Radio International, Beijing, China. Postal code 1004040. CRI News Plus Radio, where what you say matters. Gain a new perspective by visiting CRIEnglish.com. Your definitive stop for everything you've ever wanted to know about China. You want up-to-date analysis, amazing video reports, live radio, and the odd laugh along the way?
Philippines and opera.
Expecting alternative.
Live coverage for Congress.
Log on to CRIEnglish.com and get to know the Middle Kingdom. CRI English. You've been listening to News Plus Radio, a division of China Radio International, connecting you with China and the world.
For CRI News, I'm Spencer Music. At least 26 people have been killed in several explosions that rocked the Belgian capital of Brussels. 2 explosions struck the Zaventem airport as people queued to check in, leaving at least 11 dead and 81 others injured. An hour later, a blast hit Malbec metro station close to the city's main European Union building. Brussels Transport Authority says 15 people were killed and 55 wounded by the blast. All 3 blasts have been described as terrorist attacks by Belgium's federal prosecutor. One of the airport attacks is being blamed on a suicide bomber. The explosions come days after the capture in Brussels of the main suspect in the Paris terror attacks in November. Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel has called the attacks a black moment for his country. He has since canceled a scheduled trip to China. Heavy rains and hailstorms have wreaked havoc in several regions in southern China, leaving 4 people dead in Guangdong, the hardest-hit province. The violent weather has swept parts of Guangdong, Hunan, Guangxi, and Guizhou over the weekend, triggering floods in some areas. 4 people died in Guangdong after a building collapsed during the storm. In Hunan, more than 3,000 houses have been damaged, affecting over 80,000 people. China's drug regulator has identified 9 vaccine wholesalers suspected of filing fraudulent reports of buyers' identities. Local authorities have been given until Friday to find out who the real buyers of the vaccines were. The wholesalers based in 6 provinces came to light as police attempted to trace vaccines worth more than 570 million yuan, or $88 million allegedly sold illegally since 2011 by a mother and daughter. Police in Shandong province announced last month they had arrested the pair, neither of whom were authorized to sell the vaccines. The Russian government has confirmed that President Vladimir Putin will meet U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who will be visiting Moscow later this week. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says the crises in Syria and Ukraine would be on the top of the agenda, while the 2 sides are expected to discuss a broad range of other issues. Kerry will pay a working visit to Russia on Wednesday and Thursday to meet with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. A British ship has left for Japan carrying weapons-grade plutonium to the United States for storage. The ship is loaded with more than 330 kilograms of the highly dangerous material, enough to make about 50 nuclear weapons. The Japanese government says the shipment was part of an agreement between the U.S. and Japan without providing further details. Japan has decided to permanently deploy its ground-based missile interception system in Tokyo following North Korea's increasingly frequent launches of ballistic missiles. Japanese Defense Minister Gen Nakatani says the PAC-3 surface-to-air missile system would be deployed by this time next year. He's also ordered Japan's self-defense forces to shoot down any inbound ballistic missiles from North Korea that are either aimed at or would see stages of the missile fall toward Japanese territory. North Korea launched 5 projectiles into waters off its east coast on Monday after test firing a mid-range ballistic missile on Friday in defiance of United Nations resolution. Myanmar's parliament has made public the 18 nominees for ministers submitted by President-elect Tian Sha. The leader of the National League for Democracy, Aung San Suu Kyi, is among them, although it's not yet known which ministry she will be heading. Myanmar's new government, led by Tian Sha, a close ally of Suu Kyi, is expected to be sworn in on March 30th. China's Ministry of Environmental Protection says it received nearly 15,000 public tip-offs about pollution in 2015, with air pollution dominating the complaints. Water and noise pollution were the other 2 major public concerns. The ministry says the industry subject to the most complaints were chemicals, non-metallic mineral processing, metal smelting, and processing. China is extending a ban on ivory imports to protect African elephants. The State Forestry Administration says 2 one-year bans launched last year will be extended to the end of 2019. Under Chinese law, the trade and sale of ivory carvings are legal in China if they conform with certain regulations. Ivory may only come